Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into the world of ancient storytelling and look at two types of tales that are, well, a whole lot more than they seem on the surface.
Have you ever really thought about this? I mean, on one hand, you've got stories like The Tortoise and the Hare, and on the other, you have these epic legends about, say, King Arthur or Robin Hood. They feel completely different, don't they? Well, there's a very, very good reason for that.
Yeah, see, these are way more than just bedtime stories. They're actually two very distinct and ancient literary forms, fables and sagas. And each one was designed with a super specific job to do, a purpose that, believe it or not, still affects us today.
Okay, so let's start with fables. Honestly, the best way to think of a fable is as a kind of secret code. It's a really clever way to tell the truth when speaking your mind could get you into a lot of trouble.
So where did these things even come from? Well, the history's a bit murky, but the person who really made them famous was a man named Aesop. And here's the really fascinating part. He was a slave in ancient Greece, way back around 600 BC. Now, as a slave, you couldn't just stand up and criticize your masters or the powerful people running the show. That would have been a one-way ticket to some serious punishment.
So what does he do? He comes up with this absolutely brilliant solution. He starts telling these stories where animals talk and act just like people. A fox could stand in for a cunning politician, a lion for a tyrannical king, a donkey for a foolish neighbor. Through these characters, he could point out all the greed, the injustice, and the plain old stupidity he saw in the world around him. And if anyone got mad, he could just say, "Hey, relax, it's just a story about a wolf." It was a masterful way to speak truth to power and get away with it.
And part of what makes them so effective is their dead simple, predictable structure. It's practically a formula. First, you get the setup. Two characters meet, and there's some kind of problem. Then one character makes a move, that's the action. The other one responds, the reaction. And finally, you get the result, where the whole thing wraps up, almost always with a nice, tidy moral lesson spelled out for you. That simple structure makes the lesson really stick.
All right, now let's flip the coin and look at a completely different beast, sagas. If fables are a secret code, then sagas are more like a true echo from the past.
Now, to really understand what a saga is, you have to know this one German term, wahrer Kern. It literally means the true core, and that's the key. Unlike a fable, which is 100% made up, a saga always starts with a little nugget of truth, a real historical event, a real person, or a real place. Then over years and years of being told and retold, that true core gets bigger, gets exaggerated, and eventually grows into a legend.
You want to see how this works in action? Let's take a classic example. It all starts with a cold, hard fact. In the year 1377, the people living in Ulm, Germany, started building this incredible cathedral, a real building you can actually go and visit today. And this right here, this is our wahrer Kern, our true core. They had a huge, very real, practical problem. They'd cut these giant timber logs for the construction, but when they got them to the city, they realized the beams were too wide to fit through the main gate. The whole project just ground to a halt. And right here, this is the moment where reality starts to get a little fuzzy and legend takes over. The story goes that while everyone was freaking out, trying to figure out what to do, they saw a little sparrow. It was trying to get a long twig into its nest, but the twig was too wide. And then the bird did something clever. It turned the twig lengthwise and slipped it right in. And in that moment, light bulb! The people of Ulm had their answer. Just turn the logs. It's this perfect story of how a real problem got a simple solution, and over time, a legend about a smart little bird was born to explain it.
So, if you boil it down, the recipe for a saga is pretty clear. They're always built around that true core. They love to mention real places and real dates, like Ulm, 1377. Since they were passed down by word of mouth for generations, nobody knows who the original author was, and you often get a bunch of different versions of the same tale. And of course, this is where you get all the fun stuff mixed in. The giants, the fairies, the ghosts, the gods, you name it.
Okay, so we've got the secret code of fables on one side and the true echo of sagas on the other. Let's put them head to head, the tale of the tape.
Yeah, when you see it laid out like this, the differences are just crystal clear. A fable's whole purpose, to teach you a moral lesson. But a saga is trying to explain something about the real world, history, a place, an event. The characters are totally different too, talking animals versus gods and heroes. But the biggest difference, the real game changer, is their connection to reality. Fables are completely made up, invented to prove a point. Sagas, on the other hand, grow out of something that actually happened.
So you might be thinking, okay, interesting history lesson, but why should I care about this today? Well, here's the thing. These two ancient storytelling engines,
They are absolutely still running our world, just wearing modern clothes.
I mean, just take the moral from the wolf in sheep's clothing. Appearances can be deceiving. How true is that in our world of social media profiles and online scams? The lesson is as relevant now as it was thousands of years ago. Fables give us these timeless, pocket-sized truths about human nature.
And what about Sagas? Oh man, this one is huge. The whole process of taking a true core and then embellishing it, twisting it through retelling, that is exactly how modern urban legends and viral misinformation spread. It starts with a tiny grain of truth, a statistic, a photo, a real event, and as it gets shared and forwarded, it gets distorted and exaggerated until it becomes this massive story that everyone believes. But it's drifted miles away from the original facts. The technology has changed, for sure, but the human process, it's identical.
Which really leaves us with a final, pretty big thought. We're all creating and consuming stories every single day. So, what are our modern fables? What are the coded messages about our society that we're passing around? And what are our sagas, the true echoes of our time that will be told and retold and maybe completely misunderstood by people generations from now? What stories are we writing right now?